Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's with their time and bandwidth. Today's game is Iwakura Aria. The Steins and Robotics series team finally has a brand new visual novel IP. Is this supernatural romance a return to form? Let's find out. Iwakura Aria is the latest visual novel from Mages, and is Yuri, that is to say lesbian VN, with focus on religion, art, love, romance, and how all those things intersect. Our main character is Ichiko, an orphan in post-war Japan with a talent for sketches and painting. At a fundraiser, a wealthy patron takes a shine to her art and hires her to be a live-in maid for himself and his daughter Aria. Ichiko falls for Aria basically at first sight, with Aria's supernatural beauty paired with what seems to be frequent sickness and frailty. Aria and Amane are kind to Ichiko at first, but as things progress, Ichiko begins to uncover things, indicating there's a darker side happening at the mansion, all centered around Aria. What happens will test their blossoming relationship as well as the stability of the family. This is a visual novel, and while it does have 9 possible endings, pretty much all of them are just small little fail routes alongside the main one. The deviations are generally pretty obvious and end abruptly after making the wrong mistake, though what the game decides is right and wrong can be a little obtuse. In addition to binary dialogue choices, you also have moments where you can explore the house freely. The game highlights in red what you have to do to continue, but exploring everything gives more flavor and content, and that's the most gameplay you're gonna get. I'm avoiding spoilers, but what I will say is something this game does really well is reveal its big plot twist about what's actually going on with Aria closer to the halfway or third mark rather than save it for the end, which means the story is more about Ichiko and Aria coming to terms with what that means for their relationship rather than dragging a predictable plot twist out longer than it should. The story overall is honestly pretty light on plot, to the point where as I approached the ending I expected there to be at least one more act. Overall, Akari Aria is a light Yuri VM with some surprisingly dark undertones and themes, with pretty art and a story that feels over too quickly. So what do I like about Iwakura Aria? Well, the game is very pretty. The character art in particular is memorable, with digital brushstrokes really pushing the oil painting theme, and the small comic style cutscenes are fantastic. Additionally, I said this already, but I appreciate that the game didn't drag its big twist around Aria. It's something that you can guess the gist of if you're just a careful reader, and right about when I thought I had it figured out, it was revealed and the characters had to figure out how to deal with the consequences. And last, I found the story compelling enough that I kept coming back and wanting to see how it ended. And a lot of strong setups that anticipated big payoffs. Whether those actually paid off or not, well, let's jump to the cons. When it comes to the bad, I'll be honest, I felt like this game's story felt a bit half-baked in a lot of ways. And my big complaint is I felt like the game gives lip service to a ton of interesting themes, stuff like men using women's bodies for their own profit, women being viewed as accessories for religions, and even Ichiko's artistic talent aren't explored nearly enough considering how much promise and setup it's all given. Additionally, I actually didn't love Ichiko and Aria's relationship. One reason is a spoiler, but the obvious is the power dynamic between a rich employer and her maid that is completely dependent on her to survive. But even beyond that, Ichiko's abrupt and unwavering romantic devotion to Aria makes the chemistry uninteresting. And speaking of Ichiko, I think she is the weak link here. As spoiler-free as possible, here's what a lot of early game plot conflicts are. Ichiko snoops around and finds something unsettling. She makes a massive negative assumption, usually wrong, based off that thing she found and mistreats Aria over it, refusing to say why she's angry. When it finally comes out, it ends up not actually being a big deal. This happens multiple times over the story, as if they thought it needed more conflict. I get Ichiko as a teenager, but holy cow is it frustrating to see this type of plot point cycle through again and again. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale. Must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. And half-baked is unfortunately the term I'd use for Iwakura Aria. It has a great premise and was compelling enough that I wanted to come back and see how it ended, but looking back, it really felt like I spent most of my time being built up again and again for a big payoff that I felt just kind of fizzled. And this is coming from the guy who loves slow-paced VNs. So overall, I really don't know if I can recommend Iwakura Aria unless the premise really interests you, and even then, maybe just pick it up on sale. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. You played or even heard of Iwakura Aria? How many times did I change my pronunciation of the title over this video? Let me know what you think in the comments, but regardless, go out and maybe give this one a look when it's on sale.